Hello everyone, Jason from Truth Behind the Magic here, back at it once again. This is going to be the must-have items on the college program video, and pretty much the companion video to the packing tips one that I just recorded a little while ago. And whereas that was kind of just a light dip into practices you should take while packing, this is going to be more of an in-depth video. I expect it will be longer than that one. I have some show and tell for it as well. And this is going to be a lot more specific of things you should either pack or buy on the program. Some of it may seem pretty obvious. I left off some that are just completely obvious. But some of these I thought were pertinent to the program specifically, so I thought it was worth leaving them on here. And I'll just go ahead and get started right off. Number one on the list, which is maybe the most important, so it makes sense that it's at number one, but that is going to be a water purifying pitcher. And if you haven't seen one before, it's literally just a pitcher that has a kind of lid where you open it up and it has a filter in it. You put the faucet water in there and then it trickles down through the filter into the actual container part of the pitcher. You will be shocked at how much of a difference that makes in the water quality at Flamingo. The water there, I probably would not drink it just out of the tap. But when you put it through that filter, it really does pretty much taste just like normal water after that. It takes almost all of the sulfur-ish smell and taste out of it. Now, just one thing to this that's very important is that it has to be a pitcher. It cannot be the type that you put on the tap, because this is how it's always been. It was like this in 2019. They consider that modifying the apartment, and if they see that during an inspection, they will, at the very least, make you take it off. So it's better to just get the pitcher, put it in the fridge, and you don't have to refill it daily. It'll last you 2 or 3 days. But yeah, that's going to be big, because water, when you're in Florida, becomes extremely important. Even more important than it is most other places. But, yeah, going into number two, also staying in the kitchen, is going to be a larger trash can. When you get down there and you see the Flamingo trash can, it's a joke. I don't know why in the world they think that would work for 4 people. So the first thing I've done every program... Well, in 2019 it was funny because we had 4 or 5 trash cans along the back wall in Vista Way. The apartments were pretty sizable back then, at least the common area. So we just had a wall of trash cans, basically. But in Flamingo in 2022 and 2023... I just immediately went and bought a larger trash can, because the one that they give you is just sad. And also, you can pack stuff in that coming back as well, so it kind of works for that, because I did keep the trash can, because it was one that had a, lid that pops up and everything, so I wanted to keep that one. The recycling bin is fine. You could maybe buy a larger one. I didn't. It's really not that big of a deal. But a trash can, 100%, you will need to do that, or else you will be changing it daily. Number 3 is going to be a desktop or floor fan. And basically just by that I mean either a small one that goes on like a desk or a full-fledged fan that sits on the floor. That's what I have always used. Even with the air conditioning and the fans in the room at Flamingo, it will not be enough if you're a certain type of person. It was not for me. So I've always used a floor fan. Plus you get the noise of that blocks out a lot of noise outside of the room, which is great. Even with that, I still burn up at night. So I would definitely suggest that to at least mitigate some of that. Number 4 is going to be either a TV in your room or a laptop. There is a TV in the common area, which feel free to use that, but I usually just went in my room and used the laptop. I maybe a few times when I was there with other roommates, we used that big TV, but you'll want to have something in your room, and they don't have TVs inside the room, so either a laptop or a TV, whatever you would rather watch something on. Number 5 is going to be storage containers. Now, what kind of container is up to you. I mentioned this in the packing video, but I always use those drawer type storage things, like what's up above me up there. I had 3 of those, I believe, in 2019. And that's back when it was 6 people to an apartment at Vista Way. You had very limited cabinet space, so I put literally all my food into those containers. It's better now as far as cabinet space. You're guaranteed a cabinet if you get there and the one you're supposed to have is full. You could, I mean, honestly, I don't know if I would do this, but you could throw out the person's stuff and probably not get in trouble for it. But I mean, I don't know if I would go that far, but you're entitled to that, so at least complain to Flamingo about it. We'll see how much they do about that. They're interesting when it comes to solving anything. But, yeah, those were lifesavers in 2019, and I've still used the pull-out drawers like that on both programs since then, just for random stuff. It will save you so much floor space and room space, stuff like that. My roommate last year, I keep saying last year, it was 2023, he basically was a child when it came to taking care of himself and taking care of his side of the room. He didn't have any storage like that or anything, and I'm not saying you don't have to, but he just strewn his stuff all about the room and the common area, so don't be that person. Get something to put the stuff in. 6, which I also mentioned in the previous video, a mattress topper. I've known a lot of people who did not get one, and I don't know how you survive without it. Those beds, they might not be as bad as the Vista Way beds, but you're going to want a mattress topper. The only downside might be that they're a little bit hotter at night, but you will want one, believe me. Get one of the nice memory foam, that sort of thing. They're not insanely expensive. But definitely invest in that. You could get that after you get there. That's even something I mentioned in the packing tips video. On to number 7. And this one is not necessarily like 100% something you have to do, but your own toilet paper if you have a shared bathroom, either in the 4x2 or the 2x2. I know at least in 2019, I had my own. I would take it in there and then take it out when I was out of the bathroom. Now, when I switched rooms and moved to Blaze's room, who, if you're a follower of the channel, you know Blaze, and he should be on videos again soon, whenever he gets the time, but I didn't care at that point, because I knew him, I knew he was clean, I didn't care if he used mine. I wasn't going to ask him to pay me back or anything, which I'm sure he did offer to pay me some. He may have even given me some money. He probably did. But at that point, it didn't matter to me. But if it's people I don't know and everything, I'm probably going to be using my own. I think last program I didn't really care either, but that's just because I've done it 3 times. If you're going in the first time, I would probably suggest doing it this way. Number 8, also in the bathroom, shower shoes or flip-flops, an absolute must. I know a surprising amount of people who did not use these at all, and I just don't get that. Like, I'm not some health nut or anything, but I'm not about to be in the Flamingo restrooms in the shower, if it's a shared shower, without any kind of foot protection. It's just not advisable. I think when I had my own room, I had one of those kind of spongy floor mat type things, so I don't think I used flip-flops that year that I did the program, but if you have a shared bathroom, 100%. Number 9, pretty basic. The next few on here are basic, but you'd be surprised the amount of people that might not think about this, at least in the Flamingo Crossing since. Because some of this you think would be included with the room, and it is not. I have a knife block on here. I don't know if they haven't included a knife block anymore. At Vista Way, I believe they did, or maybe we just had one that had been there for who knows how long. But I would definitely suggest you don't have to get like a massive knife block, but get a small one that just has, 5 knives in it or something along those lines. Pots, pans, and utensils, that's another thing. Flamingo does supply a few things, but they're not good. Especially at this point, who knows what they look like if they're the original ones. I have always taken my own. And funnily enough, the aforementioned roommate, we had a problem because he was using my pans and then not cleaning them and then just leaving them in the sink for days at a time until he finally basically got told to stop it. It wasn't a very good confrontation, but it never happened again, so I'll take it. But he was under the impression that they were flamingos, which was actually even worse because he was basically saying I knew that I assumed they weren't anyone else's, but since we're all supposed to be using them, I just figured I would leave them dirty in the sink. But anyway, rant aside, because you may have to deal with some immaturity on your program, and there will probably be a whole video about that kind of thing coming up, but anyway, pots, pans, utensils, you can get metal ones if you want them. I just used plastic ones. I know it's not the most environmentally friendly thing, but I just preferred to not have to wash it. I preferred to use a fork and then just be rid of it. Also in the kitchen, a toaster. Another thing that you may be shocked to find out does not come with the apartment is a toaster. Someone may have left one there over the years, so there might be one in your apartment, or one of your other roommates has one. But yeah, that's one that you really only have to have that if you think you're going to use it. I actually didn't take one in 2023, but I would just make Pop-Tarts in the stove. It takes a little bit longer, but it doesn't really affect them at all. They're not any different. But yeah, you could just do a standard toaster, or I knew someone who had one of the fancier ones that you open the front up and then you can lay stuff in there. He used that pretty much on a nightly basis. Also dishwashing, I cannot talk today. Dishwashing, I literally can't talk. Dishwashing detergent and a good sponge. That's another thing. You might think that's a given, but they obviously don't supply it. Your roommates might not have one. I took a good one and I let everyone use it. I didn't care. But definitely get a good, even rather than a sponge, I would get one of the things where you like press a button and the detergent comes out of there. You have it in a little compartment and it's like a brush. That's the best, honestly. I would always just clean my stuff right after I used it so I didn't have to deal with it at any other point. 13 is going to be hand soap. Another thing that sounds obvious, but keep it in mind. Unless someone has left some there at some point over the years, there will not be any in the apartment. Now 14, this one's a pretty wide swath right here, but I just put merchandise on my list for this because it is honestly important. It's a big part of the program, I think, to get some merchandise because it's a keepsake. It's something that you can use for decorating, and I'll put a picture on here while this is going of the kind of display that we had in 2023. We had 2 of the lightsaber stands. I think I had a wand up there, and we had a Lego Star Cruiser. But yeah, the lightsabers are really good merchandise. It's on the more expensive side, and unfortunately you don't get a discount. You only get a discount on the blade and the stand, that sort of thing. You don't get a discount on the hilt. But I actually got the Palpatine lightsaber in 2023, and oftentimes they will have certain ones that are on like a 30% discount, or roughly that. So that's what I did. I still got a discount on it. But those make for really good display pieces with the lighted stands that you can change the color on. Those were brand new when I was there in 2023, so we had a couple of those. Me and one of my other roommates. I had the wand on a stand. You can get stands at Universal. Not as nice as the lightsaber ones, obviously, and I think you have to actually ask the people working there if you can buy one, and they'll get one for you. I got mine at Diagon Alley, so kind of makes it more important, cooler to me that it was bought at Ollivander's there in Diagon Alley, but I have a couple wands on it here instead of just the one. It looks kind of shabby in that picture that I'm going to put on there, but still shows you that merchandise, like I said, it's a souvenir. You can keep it for years. Some of them are nicer pieces if you spend the money. It's good decorating for the apartment. Kind of livens it up. That's why we had that out there in the common area. Yeah, and just get whatever suits your fancy. Anything that you want to buy in the parks. And I will put a caveat on that, because I've talked on here in multiple videos about how people spend their entire paychecks on merchandise. Don't be that person, but definitely get some. Because I didn't get a lot in 2019, and I kind of regretted that. But it was also because I was taking the buses, and getting merchandise becomes a little more murky territory in that situation, because you have to take it on the bus. You'll have to carry it around at the parks all day. If you're park hopping, you have to take it to the other park, that kind of thing. But definitely get yourself some. And make room for it when you drive back, to harken back to the previous video. You want to keep room in your packing for that. Number 15, a good quality water bottle. And this is another one that may seem obvious, but it's, yeah, I mean, it is honestly something that's extremely important, especially in Florida, especially going around the parks and work. Yeah, and you will use it maybe daily, especially if you're working. You will use it at work every day. You may or may not take it into the parks, and I'll get into that in a minute. But it's definitely useful, at least at work. And get yourself a decent quality one, because Disney does provide them on certain roles. I think when I went there in 2019, I was expecting to get one in quick service, but I didn't. I think if you asked for one, maybe they'd give you one, but in attractions, they give them to you. At least at my location, they automatically handed them out. And they are like this. This is one of the Disney ones. I don't think I ever used this. I may have used it one time, but I don't think I did. You have like the belt loop part of it. You can clip it on. But I mean, it's just plastic. It's literally just a plastic water bottle in a holder. Now, a lot of people, they would get a metal one that had some kind of clip system, and they would clip it to their belt. I mean, some people had some massive ones out there in attractions, and I'm like, how are you even enjoying this when you're lugging that around all day for pretty much no reason? But if you're going to keep it on your belt, this is fine. The holder is decent quality. The bottle is like pretty much what you'd expect. But if you're going to be clipping a metal one on, the territory, as far as, I don't know why I keep using the word territory in this video, but it is once again kind of a gray area when it comes to that, because I don't know the exact uniform policy on that. At Toy Story Mania, I think as long as it was black or a dark color and didn't have like crazy stickers on it, they didn't say anything, but I know they told a few people that theirs was not okay. I technically don't know if any of them are even in the uniform guidelines, but yeah, if you're going to be wearing it, you might just want to use the Disney kind like that, but if it's just going to be in a backpack or fridge or something, get something like this, I would suggest. I don't think this was one I had at Disney. I think I got it shortly after. But I've pretty much used something like that. Every program had it in my backpack. In 2019, I had like a 40-ounce one. I think that one's only 19 or 20. And I would actually take that to the parks as well. And I'll get into that in one of these later bullet points. But yeah, definitely invest in a good quality water bottle. It doesn't have to be insanely expensive, but get something that is built to last to an extent, especially if you're clipping it on your belt. Number 16, sunglasses, another one that may seem obvious, but I kind of wanted to talk about it because certain ones fit into Disney guidelines, others do not. They have to be black, or at least a dark color. If it looks black, you might be able to get away with it if it's actually not. But if a specific leader sees that, they will see something about it. They'll say something about it, sorry. This is what I had. I would use them occasionally in Bell services if I was driving or outside or something of that nature. I would suggest not getting expensive ones because you will be putting these in your pockets or in a backpack or things like that inside the parks especially. So just get a cheaper pair. I think these were like $10 maybe. And I didn't care to just throw them in a pocket. But yeah, they have to be, like I said, I think black or a dark solid color. They cannot be reflective. You're actually supposed to be able to see your eyes through them. I've seen people where you can't, and these ones you actually probably couldn't either. I don't know if those were technically within the guidelines, but yeah, you will use those on the job potentially, and especially on your off days, because there are times, certain locations on property, certain times a day when you walk out of an attraction or something and are just immediately blinded. So you will want to have those handy at all times. I have had days where I forgot them in the parks and have been miserable. Just had to walk with my head down because you couldn't even look up. It was so bright. Number 17, have at least one pair of pants or shorts with a zippered pocket. And what I mean by that, I have some show and tell here, is that you want to have them where it's a pocket like this. It can be either like your standard pocket, or I had one where like this was zippered, and these ones are Velcro, which that is decent as well. It's not the best, but get it to where you can actually zip this up. And the reason for that is that will be your best friend on a day in the parks. Because instead of having to have a backpack or something along those lines, now a backpack will come into this later and I'll talk about that. If you like having one, then take a backpack, but I used those. I had 2 or 3 other pairs that were similar to that, and one that just had a zipper on like the bottom pocket there that I showed. And if you're going on an attraction that is relatively out there in terms of thrill, it maybe doesn't go upside down and stuff, although for Rock and Roller Coaster it would come into play. You just throw your stuff in your pockets, throw your sunglasses, phone, whatever else you may have, zip them up, and it's out of mind. You don't have to worry about losing them at all. If I was going on Pirates, even Space Mountain, Big Thunder, I would throw the stuff in there, zip them up. If it was the pair that only had one pocket, it would get kind of bulky in there, but it could still fit. But those are definitely the best. And you have the security as well, knowing that you're walking around with your items zipped up in your pockets, which is just safer. That really wasn't a factor to me, but that is something that comes into play. It is a plus side for that. But yeah, have at least one pair like that. At least try it. You will be surprised. You'll be like, this is surprisingly useful to either not have to worry every second that I'm on a ride that something's going to fall out, or to not have to carry a backpack to put stuff in. So one or the other will be of use to you, I can guarantee. Number 18. This is one that is only if you desire to do so, but I would suggest it because it's just kind of cool to get into kind of collecting these and using them. but a magic band. And I will say this has changed over the years. Magic bands used to be a huge thing. People called me crazy when I said I think they're kind of phasing them out because the Magic Band Plus had just come out. But if you go look in the shops now, like the Emporium, where it used to be an entire wall of just magic bands, there were no two that were alike. It was completely unique, each one of them. Now it's just two little kiosks, if it's even that anymore. I haven't been in there in a year, but they really went down on the variety of them, and I think it's because of the rise of the smartphone. A lot of people, and I know this from attractions, a ridiculous amount of people use their phones as the ticket. Nothing wrong with that. It's just a lot of people do it. You can use it for lightning lane, discounts, paying, that sort of thing. But to me, nothing beats a good old Magic Band still. This is a Magic Band 2.0, which I like because the Magic Band Plus, I just think they're bulkier. You have to charge them for certain things. They're more expensive. Blaze got one when he visited me down there in 2023. I think it was $40 or something. It was a really cool one, but I miss these where they were like $20. Maybe the limited edition ones would go up to $30. This is I don't know if it'll show up at all. It's a Pirates of the Caribbean. It's the skeletal captain there right before you go down the drop, which might be my favorite scene. I think this may have been a limited edition, or at least they don't make it anymore. But they hardly make any of the Magic Band 2.0 anymore. And you actually don't even get them when you stay at a resort anymore either. You have to specifically ask for them. But no, I would suggest that if you want it, 2022 when I was down there, I'd planned on using one. I bought one that is Walt Disney in front of the Florida Project map. It was a limited edition 50th anniversary one, 50th anniversary Disney World. I never took it out of the packaging. It's still in the packaging on a display that I have right next to the store here next to me. But yeah, I would suggest it still. It gives you a chance to buy something unique. You can get a limited edition one. There's still some really cool ones, but in 2023, I didn't buy one. I wanted to, but the problem was that they hardly make any of the Magic Band 2.0 anymore. They may have actually phased it out completely since I've been there, but you can still get the Magic Band Plus for sure. And I do like having it on my wrist. I will say, though, now that Lightning Lane is paid and you don't have to use FastPass, or you can't as a cast member unless you pay for it, it's not as useful. Because back in the day, you'd scan in with the Magic Band, like back in 2019, get a few FastPasses. You usually couldn't get the Primo rides, but I mean, you'd get like Pirates of the Caribbean, Big Thunder, and it would still save you time. And you already had that on your wrist. To do it. So I would still suggest it just to get into the parks kind of as a statement piece. Otherwise, you can use your self-admission pass, obviously, which is what I did last year. I think I used my phone a time or two to get in. But yeah, it'll give you something interesting to shop for, and they have a lot of specific ones at different areas of the parks, so it's still pretty interesting. So number 19, another big one here, a backpack or a lunch bag. And this is another one that you can use both on the workplace and out of work as well in the parks. In 2019, like I said, I had the 40-ounce water bottle. I would take a backpack into the parks. I would put merchandise in it if I bought it, and that's a big thing. I stopped doing that just because when I started driving a car down there, it really wasn't as big of a deal having to carry around merchandise. If I got it in like a Disney bag, just their standard plastic bag, I could just put it in my car before going to a different park. It didn't matter, but back when I was taking the buses, if you bought anything in the park, you needed somewhere to put it and carry it for the rest of the day. I do miss having a water bottle in the parks, though, because getting a Diet Coke and a water every once in a while kind of sucks compared to having a big water bottle in your backpack. And I'd been tracking down all the places where you could fill up, like, the water bottle refill stations, not just the water fountains, so that was good to know as well. But especially for work, you will need one 100%, either a backpack or a lunch bag type thing. I actually have here, this is the backpack I used in 2019 when I would go into the parks. It's obviously the Haunted Mansion wallpaper. I've never seen this backpack since then, even at the Haunted Mansion shop. If anyone has, let me know. I'd like to buy a newer one of those, but yeah, that is like the perfect size for using inside of a park. It's not huge, it's not tiny. You see a lot of people, especially the ladies with the lounge fly things, you're not fitting a water bottle in there. I mean, unless it's a smaller one. You're not fitting merchandise in there. If that's what you want to use, then go for it, but you really won't be able to carry anything back in that. But yeah, that one did really well. It actually ended up being waterproof even. I didn't even realize. I don't know if it was advertised as such, and I don't know if it's even supposed to be, but it is definitely water resistant, so that came in handy big time. I think I bought it at the Emporium, but like I said, I've never seen that one since then. And this is the backpack I've always used on the job, because it's larger than that one. I think this is too big to take into the parks. I don't know if it shows on camera, but it is hefty. It is made of thick, padded material. I would not want to walk around the parks with it for an extended period of time. But it was perfect for work. I've actually seen people walking around the parks with like a full rucksack type thing filled to the brim. And, you know, if you're on a vacation with children, you may need that kind of thing. But like I said, I think that's even too big for going into the parks. Like I said, this is perfect. It's light. It's not fancy in terms of design, except for the pattern. That would serve you well. The other one was good for work because, you know, you just walked into work with it. It's waterproof as well. But if you're getting one just to use down there, that was one I already had from school. Obviously, it says ECU on it, which is kind of funny because their big rival back in those days was the University of Central Florida. So walking into work with that on in Central Florida was kind of funny. But, yeah, if you're getting one just to use down there, get one that's a more the size of the Haunted Mansion one, I would suggest. All right, we're getting to the end here. Number 20 is going to be a phone mount for your car. And you will use this all the time. I know some people just put their phone in their cup holder if they're, like, using the GPS or something, but I liked having an actual mount. As someone who went to Universal a lot, went to golf shops and things of that nature, which are like 30, 40 minutes away from Flamingo, depending on the day and which way you go. I liked having a GPS until I learned how to get there, so not necessarily something that's specific to the program, but definitely get yourself some kind of phone mount, either on the window or in the vent. Mine was the kind that went around the vent, and that came in big time. And the last thing on here, and this is another one that definitely has caveats, that's why I saved it for last, because it might be the most interesting, but also kind of one of the strangest, and that is going to be a Universal Annual Pass. Obviously, that's something you're only going to need if you desire that. If you are on your first program, and I have said this in many a video on here, I wouldn't even suggest getting one unless you're going to be there for more than 6 months. I was there for 7 months on my 2019 program, my first program, and had no problem only going to Disney for 7 months. But that was back in the day when it was a lot easier to park hop. We weren't really blocked out a lot. Although it's kind of come back to normal now. It's not like right after COVID. But yeah, if you're going to be there for like 6 months or less, just immerse yourself in Disney. That's what you're there for. Even if you have a car, I would not suggest getting a Universal Pass unless you just absolutely get bored of Disney, but I don't think you will. If you're going to the resorts, parks, mini golf, anything else, Disney Springs. Now, like I said, if you're on your second program, third program, if you've been there 7 or 8 months or whatever, feel free to get one. Because it does come in handy. Especially my second and third program. Like I said, I didn't have it on the first. I would go there a lot. We were blocked out of practically everywhere in 2022. So I would either go to Epcot or go to Universal. A lot of times I'd go to Universal early in the day and then end at Epcot because Universal does close early. It doesn't have the food options like Epcot, so it was just worth it to go over there. If you do get a pass, I would suggest getting this one specifically, the preferred pass, because you get the free parking, but it's not nearly as expensive. I mean, I think the other one isn't that much more expensive, but there's a obvious price difference between it and the highest one, and you really don't need the highest level one. If you want to get Express Pass, or whatever they call it, I think after 3 p.m. you get it for free if you have the other one, which is nice, but for me, they have a lot of single rider lines there, so it really didn't matter. And Universal tends to just have shorter waits, just because the capacity and the way things are ran and that kind of thing. But yeah, definitely get this one, unless you want to splurge on the other one, because that one gets you the free parking. The other 2 levels down do not, and that will get you in the end. That pays for itself. I haven't checked the price this year, but that one pays for itself in like 3 visits, I think, 3 or 4. So you will get your money's worth out of it. Other than that, that's all I had for this list. I probably could have thought of a few more if I studied it for another hour, but I think I really hit the big things here that I wanted to talk about. Like I said, definitely get yourself a purifying pitcher, a big trash can, not big necessarily, but a larger trash can than what they have. Those are 2 big ones. A mattress topper is huge. Get yourself some good merchandise, a backpack, and you'll pretty much be good to go. You'll definitely be able to make it through with all that. You'll use some of these, obviously, in both the parks and work scenarios, so yeah, if you made it in the program, congratulations. If you're getting into it, hopefully this helped you. I mean, even if you're someone who has been accepted, I hope this helped you. But anyway, that's all she wrote, and I'll see you next time.